you about the story of when George Washington was a little boy, and he cut down his father's cherry tree. So George Washington, he had a hatchet, and his hatchet.
You literally cannot go now.
And
that was horrible.
He had his hatchet when he was a little boy, and he used to chop down his mother's shit. He used to chop down shit like the plants and the fucking sticks and the fucking whatever. He used to chop down his mother's shit. So George Washington, one time, he found that his father's cherry tree was available. He was walking through the fucking garden, and he fucking found this shit. And he saw his father's cherry tree, and he's like, fuck it. I've chopped down all my mother's shit. I'm gonna fucking chop down my father's cherry tree. So he starts chopping down his cherry tree. He only gets the bark, and he's like, no, this probably isn't a fucking good idea. I'm not gonna fucking chop down this fucking cherry tree. So he only chops up the bark, gets a decent amount of fucking bark, and just leaves. So maybe a fucking week later, his father he sees the cherry tree, and he says, Who cut a chip out of my cherry tree? Who vandalized my cherry tree? So he goes back to his home, and he says, does anybody know who vandalized my cherry tree? Was it you, servants? Was it you, my wife? Was it you, my daughter? I don't know who chopped down my cherry tree. So finally, George Washington comes back with his hatchet over his left shoulder, and his father looks at him. He's pissed. His fucking father is pissed. He says, Father. His father says, I'm sorry. His father says, Georgie, did you chop down my cherry tree? And Georgie with his hatchet over his shoulder says, Father, I chopped down your cherry tree, but I only chopped off the bark. And his father, he said, not mad. His father's not mad anymore. His father's not mad. He was mad earlier, but he's not fucking mad. He says, Father, I chopped down your cherry tree. And the father says, Father, he says, Tommy.
It's George! Tommy Walker, his brother.
He said, Georgie, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. He said, I understand that you're going to chop down cherry trees, but as long as you do, you need to tell the truth. And Georgie says, I fucking know I need to tell the truth. He fucking says, I know I need to tell the truth from now on. But his father says, that's good. You fucking tell the truth from now on. And that's the story of George Washington chopping down his father's cherry tree. That's what happened.
Colin, you shoot your pants yet?
When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. He said, son, when you grow up, would you be the savior of the broken?